Red Deer, if you don't know, is celebrating its 100th anniversary as a city this year. We've got lots of events scheduled throughout the year, so please come back. But one of the things that we're scheduling is our homecoming weekend during July 29th to June 29th to July 1st. And we're honoring our Red Deer River. And I couldn't help but think yesterday in thinking about our heritage and some of the challenges that are facing all rivers in Alberta. But our river project is going to be a River of Light project. So please come for the weekend and participate with us and see what we've got to demonstrate and show the progress of our river. And of course, the Red Deer Watershed Alliance and our council members are certainly committed to keeping it clean and healthy for the next 100 years as well. So again, thank you for inviting the Red Deer Watershed Alliance to this conference. As it's been indicated, I'm a city councillor and I'm a board member of the Watershed Alliance. And other directors of our Watershed Alliance, and if you're in the room, please give a wave, are Bob Bryant, Dale Christian, Phil Beamey, Malcolm Ross. We also had Tracy Scott yesterday, and we have some of our staff, Joey Temple and Gerard Aldridge. So the Red Deer Watershed Alliance is a registered society. We're on Twitter and Facebook if you want to follow us. And our office is located at the bottom of North Hill, 49 18th, 59th Street. And we've been there since 2006. And given that my experience and expertise is in the human resource and people management versus water movement, and as a municipal politician, I will be presenting an overview of our watershed planning and share insights on what we've learned so far as a Red Deer River Watershed Alliance board. I will start with the description of the watershed and some background on how we are engaging our watershed community. I'll speak about the development of our background technical reports and how we've utilized multidisciplinary technical teams to provide professional advice on the reports. And each phase of the work has had a major public and stakeholder consultation process. I'll focus on what we're hearing and how feedback is being incorporated into the reports. I will share some of our lessons learned along the way and finish with our vision of an integrated watershed management plan and our implementation process. And I'd also like to acknowledge, just going around yesterday to the presentations as well as the displays, all the other watershed work and the important work that's being across the province. So I don't know if people have had an opportunity to travel around the province, but the first is the mighty piece. The Dunvegan Bridge is something, a real treasure to see in this province. So if you want something to do in an Alberta holiday, go up there and visit. We've got the Lesser Slave, we've got the Athabasca, the Beaver River, North Saskatchewan, of course, Battle River, the Bow River, which we heard from this morning, the Old Man, Southeast, and Milk River. So all great work being done. So the Red Deer River Watershed is as diverse and interesting as the people who live, work, and play here. And the Red Deer River begins in Banff National Park and meanders 724 kilometers through mountains, forests, foothills, urban and industrial areas, irrigated agricultural fields, the Badlands, and the dryland prairies before draining into the South Saskatchewan River just across the Saskatchewan border. Our watershed also includes portions of traditional First Nations land for Treaty 6 and 7. And the population in the watershed has grown rapidly over the past couple of decades to over 275,000 people, with 19 rural and 15 urban municipalities, with Red Deer's population of some 93,000 people. In 2009, the Red Deer River State of our Watershed report was completed. The terms of reference for our Integrated Management Watershed Plan were developed through stakeholder engagement in early 2010. In the fall of 2010, 2 sets of education forums were held in 3 different parts of our watershed. At Sundre, in the bottom of the headwaters, at Red Deer in the central region, and in Oyen in the grasslands. We next held community workshops to discuss problems in the watershed, followed by workshops on potential solutions. We then determined that additional expertise and information was needed to assist in developing the watershed plan. Our Red Deer River Watershed Alliance has limited, as similar to other watersheds, in-house technical ability, so we looked outside for professional and technical expertise to develop the background information we would need. Our approach on the development of background technical reports was to work with individuals or teams with expertise in watershed and environmental planning, as well as experts from a broad range of sectors and disciplines. In a nutshell, these independently authored background technical reports look like this. They pull together all the relevant, usable data that can demonstrate any trends, using Water for Life goals as the overarching outcome frame. They establish outcomes for the technical areas in question. Then indicators are developed. They include some that we already developed from the State of the Watershed process. And then targets are set. The reports make recommendations on research needs and a broad sense of some of the beneficial management practices, or BMPs, as you so often hear them called. In July 2012, the first of these reports was published on our website. It's on surface water quality, and it was written by Dr. Anne-Marie Anderson, who lives in our watershed and has over 30 years of experience as a limnologist studying inland water systems. And we'll also be hearing this afternoon from our panel from an ESRD limnologist, Chris Tygrove, so I encourage you to listen to that session. We have just published the second report on wetlands, riparian areas, and land use. It was developed by Calgary-based 02 Planning and Design. And next, we will be working on surface water quantity and groundwater quality and quantity, which will be followed by terrestrial and aquatic biodiversity. You'll note the estimated timelines for each of these two remaining components, and of course, subject to project funding, are also shown on the slide. The Alliance originally got this project's Technical Advisory Committee, and we often refer to them as the acronym TAC, and that was a real challenge for me as a board member, getting used to the acronyms. But as we moved in some of these technical areas, we found we needed extra help with specific areas of expertise. TAC members are busy people, and over the long term, we were concerned with how best to use their time and involvement most effectively and efficiently. So starting with the wetlands, riparian areas, and land use report, we have been putting together technical teams in addition to the TAC. Technical team members are recruited from the watershed and beyond for their specific expertise and interest in the subject in question. I should mention too that often these technical team members are individuals originally referred to us by the watershed public and stakeholders attending on various project-related public engagement events. So similar to one person tells another person and so on, we grow our expertise. Some of the project's original technical advisory committee members also sit on these technical teams, in addition to others from a broad range of sectors. The technical teams meet via email, online surveys, and webinars and conference calls. In this way, with minimal time investment and appropriate use of virtually free technology, we have received timely, focused, and professional feedback on the project's second report just completed. We anticipate the same with the next components we are working on, and once again, that being surface water quantity and groundwater quality and quantity. If this approach continues to work well, and of course, always subject to funding, we will use the same tech team approach on the final component, which will be terrestrial and aquatic biodiversity. Public and stakeholder consultation has been an important component of the watershed planning process, and a range of techniques have been used for each background technical report for sector and multi-sector workshops. We also used online response forms successfully, as well as industry and agricultural presentations by invitation. While each of the major waves of consultation has surrounded the release of a background technical report, the objectives of these meetings are much more broader than that. They are to explain the watershed planning process, to show and ask how industry can get involved, to seek feedback on the background technical reports, to find out what the stakeholders are doing in their watershed, and to build partnerships for the important part of the implementation of the IWMP. And this morning we heard the presentation from the Bow River, which I found very useful in the lessons learned, and that's all part of the really important work that we're doing as sharing. We often hear from the watershed public that people are consulted and then agencies go away and nobody hears another word. And what's the rest of the story? Documentation and reports are one thing, but actually telling people how you did or did not use their input and why is critical to the success of this sort of work. For us, it's all about completing the loop on what we heard, what we used and why, and what we did not use and why not. We also have on our website the report on the surface water quality, which is available to you. Once the 4 background technical reports are completed in late 2013, we'll begin work on the watershed management plan. That will include drawing on background technical information and determining final targets. It will also include making recommendations on actions, presenting social economical analysis, presenting implementation and developing an implementation framework, and last, developing approval by the RDRWA board. While the background reports are independently authored and essentially are the products of the input of the expertise from scientists and consulting companies that developed them, the final IWMP will be a product of the Watershed Alliance, based on the best technical advice possible and careful review by public and stakeholders. One of the exciting things we've learned as we meet with stakeholders is that many aspects of the Watershed Management Plan are already in the process of being implemented, and that's always good news. Implementation will be a continuation of the stakeholder engagement process that has already begun. One scenario would be the development of multi-stakeholder teams that work together to ultimately figure out who should do what and where. In closing, the Red Deer River is at the top of the watershed, and we have a responsibility for the waters, locally, provincially, and to other watersheds in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, as the river winds and flows to the Hudson's Bay. And in closing, I leave you with 4 points. First, the Red Deer Watershed Alliance is focused and committed to our work and watershed management, just as each of you are in your watersheds. Second, that wherever we live across this great province, we care about our water. Number 3, the river is the report card of the watershed. And last, the words of a young child who did a poster that hangs in our Red Deer River Watershed Alliance office: take care of our water.